Hello. An inopportune moment to hit the start streaming button, but what? Okay. I'm wearing my ears for this stream today because it's my fucking stream. I get to do what I want. If I'm feeling whimsy, I shall whimsy my whims. Anyway, there was circumstances, there were life occurrences occurring, and now we are finally getting around to Monster Blood, as previously mentioned weeks ago. Oh. It's, I'd say I'm sorry, but again, extenuating circumstances, so I regret that it hasn't happened yet, but I'm not sorry for taking care of myself. That makes sense? Yeah. Self-care, self-love, and mental health recovery require no apologies. Thank you, and good night. The end. I'm reading this one because it's like, and again, I talked about this in the last couple of streams where they, like, one of the earlier streams, they revamped the cover art, and I don't like it. I don't know what it is, I'm just a nostalgic bitch. It's not that I'm like, no, this cover art is not good, because it is very good. It's just not my cover art. It's not the cover art that I grew up with and remember and sought out in the library. It's well done. It's fine. Color theory and all that. But it's not, hi, it you, and it me. Here we be. Hi. But this cover art, it's not my cover art. And I genuinely want to buy the Goosebumps series just to have it, because every once in a while I like to succumb to nostalgia and read shit that I would have read when I was like 8 or 9 years old. Just because it's sometimes, that's not the title at all. Hold on. I just realized. And this is hard to do with my left hand. Oh, son of a bitch. Okay. All right. Ta-da. Okay, I fixed it. It's not Halloween tree anymore. We finished that already. Without further a fuck, here we go. This is gonna be interesting. Yeah, see, I don't remember the first Goosebumps book I read, but this was one of the first, and it's... Yes, oh my god, just hang on. 1 second. Yeah? Oh yeah. That's that good shit. One of these days I'm gonna do a stream where I'm writing stuff, because I've been trying to write a novella for a little while. So maybe that'll be one of the streams where I'm like, you don't get to see what I'm typing because it's a secret. It's a secret. Oh, hold on. Baby. As if on schedule, it is the kitty cat. Meow. Also, if you're wondering what that is, that's a dog. Pepper. He's asleep. He likes to sleepies in the beds. Also, Night in Tower Terror was... Yeah. That'd be fun. I want to, like... But I can't do it yet. Unfortunately. I also have to, like, I have to. I'm on chapter 5 right now, so I'd have to like bust out a couple plot points and then get to it, because sometimes I write a single sentence and then all of a sudden it's 4 pages later and I've created I've created a new scenario and I've cut them up with 3 different settings, and I have to go into my notes and add it to the notes so I don't fucking forget, because I do that. It's the ADD. I'm not. Okay, but if you cry, I'm not letting you back in again, because you're just gonna go in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. Ah. My mom calls him a penis. Can you tell why? Yeah, I need to write out a couple of, because I know how the beginning goes, and I have a vague idea. Yes, I am here to make the cat's thoughts happen. That's not at all how I wanted to say that. And I don't know if you can hear that. You see? Do you see? This is the last time. This is the last time I'm just gonna leave the door open. This is the last time I am doing this. Quote me on that. Don't quote me on it. You see, the things I do for love. Okay. All right. We're doing it now. No further interruptions, unless the... There's a kitten outside my door. I left it open a crack, though, so if she wants to come in, she can. But it all do... They know. I forgot that that's what we... my last name is Mikabitch. Hi, kitten. I forgot about that. Okay. All right. Also, last side note, I promise. I'm really mad that the Tower of Terror in Disneyland was turned into something else, because now I don't get to ever visit the Tower of Terror, which I've wanted to do since its first... I was gonna say incubation. That's not the right word. That's not the right word. Okay. Da-da-da-da-da. Yes. Why? Why would they do that? And also, I don't know how to do ad quotes. I don't know how to do that. I also don't know if I'm allowed to do that. I think that's a function that I have to... I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. Save that. I'm pointing at the chat. Save that for another time. And we'll... I'll figure out technology one day. One day when I'm a real boy. I don't want to stay here. Please don't leave me here. Yeah, it's a Streamlabs, but I don't know. There's a lot of different, like, programmy things that you can select from, and I'd have to go through and find where it is, because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Evan Ross tugged his mother's hand, trying to pull her away from the front stoop of the small, gray shingled house. Mrs. Ross turned to him, an impatient frown on her face. Evan, you're 12 years old. Don't act like an infant, she said, freeing her hand from his grasp. I hate when you say that, Evan exclaimed angrily, crossing his arms in front of his chest. He big mad. Softening her expression, she reached out and ran her hand tenderly through Evan's curly carrot-colored hair. Carrot Top? And I hate when you do that, he cried, backing away from her, nearly stumbling over a broken flagstone in the walk. I can't fucking talk today. Don't touch my hair, I hate it. Don't touch my hair. Okay, so you hate me, his mother said with a shrug. That's... Is it just me? Is like... There's a sarcastic... Is that manipulative? I think it's a little manipulative. Interesting. She climbed up the 2 steps and knocked on the front door. You still have to stay here till I get back. Why can't I come with you? Evan demanded, keeping his arms crossed. Just give me one good reason. Your sneaker is untied, his mother replied. So? Evan replied unhappily. I like 'em untied. You'll trip, she warned. Mom, Evan said, rolling his eyes in exasperation. Have you ever seen anyone trip over his sneakers because they were untied? Well, no, his mother admitted, a smile slowly forming on her pretty face. You just want to change the subject, Evan said, not smiling back. You're going to leave me here for weeks with this horrible old woman. Yeah, I have. Yeah, same. That's why I double knot them. I double knot my sneakers because I am graceful and I have poor coordination. I don't know what it is. I did ballet when I was 5 years old for like a year, maybe less, and that part stuck with me, but I still trip. Rubib. Evan, that's enough, Mrs. Ross snapped, tossing back her straight blonde hair. Catherine is not a horrible old woman. She's your father's aunt. Your great aunt. And she's a total stranger! Evan cried. He knew he was losing control, but he didn't care. How could his mother do this to him? How could she leave him with some old lady he hadn't seen since he was 2? What was he supposed to do here all by himself until his mother got back? Evan, we've discussed this 1,000 times, his mother said impatiently, pounding on his aunt's front door again. This is a family emergency. I really expect you to cooperate a little better. Her next words were drowned out by Trigger. Go on. There he goes.
You doing escaping? Come on.
Okay. Alright. They're absolutely going to come back, but someone is home now, so I have to close the door. Because that's ambient noise that I don't need. Okay. Her next words were drowned out by Trigger, Evan's cocker spaniel, who stuck his tan head out the back window of the rented car and began barking and howling. Now he's giving me a hard time, too! Mrs. Ross exclaimed. Can I let him out? Evan asked eagerly. I guess you'd better, his mother replied. Trigger's so old we don't want to have him have a heart attack in there. I just hope he doesn't terrify Catherine. I'm coming, Trigger! Evan called. He jogged to the gravel driveway and pulled open the car door. With an excited yip, Trigger leaped down and began running in wide circles around Catherine's small rectangular front yard. Yeah, no. I wouldn't mind staying with, like, a person that I have some association with, but, like, a complete stranger, A. B, a complete stranger. Great aunt, like, I'm specifically thinking of my great aunt Hirsch, and I can't spend lunch with her without being like, oh, is that my beeper going off? It's telling me it's 1996 and I have to go. Goodbye. Something about great aunt specifically is just like, no. I don't know if other people have this issue where they're like, specifically their great aunt, someone that's just a touch removed from their immediate family, and they're like, yo, we saw her on Christmas, and then she said some shit that made me uncomfortable, and then she said the earth was flat, and that the dinosaurs were made of salt. I don't know. Yes, I've only seen you at reunions, and last time I saw you, you got a haircut, and I bitched at you for 20 minutes. Kind of situation. Like, my great aunt, my sister has, like, 30-ish tattoos, and last time my great aunt saw her, she just did one of, I hope you have a good job, her, like, shut up. Anyway, also, the great aunt is almost always, like, Catholic or evangelical. All right. Oh, yeah. Pay no attention to that. With an excited yip, Trigger leaped out and began running in wide circles around Catherine's small rectangular front yard. He doesn't look like he's 12. I bet you don't either, Evan. You might look like you're 8, because that's what I looked like when I was 12. I looked 8. Evan said, watching the dog run and smiling for the first time that day. See, you'll have Trigger for company, Mrs. Ross said, turning back to the front door. I'll be back from Atlanta in no time, a couple of weeks at the most. I'm sure your dad and I can find a house in that time. And then we'll be back before you even notice we're gone. Yeah, sure, Evan said sarcastically. The sun dipped behind a large cloud. A shadow fell over the small front yard. Trigger wore himself out quickly and came panting up the walk, his tongue hanging nearly to the ground. Evan bent down and petted the dog's back. He looked up at the gray house as his mother knocked on the front door again. It looked dark and uninviting. There were curtains drawn over the upstairs windows. Yes! Okay, yeah. Family emergency. It's not... It's a family... Like... You might have something going on. Like, you have to move to Atlanta because of a family emergency. The finding the house part is not the family emergency. I don't... Unless... Yeah. Or, like, their house burned down or something, and they literally have no place to live. But also, why specifically Atlanta? Did you... Sometimes I will read a book. Yeah, sometimes I'll read a book and be like, Sir, did you take notes? Did you have a little notebook in which you put your settings, your plot points, your characters, their star signs? Because I've done that. Again. Jesus Christ. Yeah? Alright. Apples. Yes. Sleepy times. Come on. Sleepy times. Is there sleepy times for little dogs? Is there sleepy times for little dogs? It's sleepy times for little dogs. Alright. Roll. You just go hang out. Yeah, I do both. I'll write out like a few pages, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, if I want this page to happen, I need to add this particular detail in a later chapter. So I'll write out the page, and then I'll be like, okay, this, because of the sentence I just said, is important to the plot, so I'll add that detail into my notes. And then I'll go back and forth between the two. There you go. I think he didn't consult his notes. Or he'll explain. This is page 4. He might actually explain why we'll see.
We'll see what the fuck happens.
There were curtains drawn over the upstairs windows. One of the shutters had come loose and was resting at an odd angle. Mom, why are you knocking? He asked, shoving his hands into his jean pockets. You said Aunt Catherine was totally deaf. Oh! His mother's face reddened. You got me so upset, Evan, with all your complaining. Rude. You got me so upset with all your complaining. I completely forgot. Of course she can't hear us. And it's your fault that I forgot. Bitch. How am I going to spend 2 weeks with a strange old lady who can't even hear me? Evan wondered glumly. He remembered eavesdropping on his parents 2 weeks earlier when they had made their plan. They were seated across from each other at the kitchen table. They thought Evan was out in the backyard, but he was in the hallway, his back pressed against the wall, listening. Ooh. 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 Yes. Manipulatory. Manipulatory. And disrespectful. And hate you. His father, he learned, was reluctant to leave Evan with Catherine. She's a very stubborn old woman, Mr. Ross had said. Look at her. Deaf for 20 years and she refused to learn sign language or to lip read. How's she going to take care of Evan? She took good care of you when you were a boy, Mrs. Ross had argued. That was 30 years ago, Mr. Ross protested. Well, we have no choice, Evan heard his mother say. There's no one else to leave him with. Everyone else is away on vacation. You know, August is just the worst month for you to be transferred to Atlanta. Yeah, that's not an emergency. That's an urgency, but it's not an emergency. Yeah, that's probably... I think he wrote the numbers backward. Because, like, if she took good care of him, how's she gonna... Yeah, no, none of her arguments count. None of them. Because she's manipulative and we don't like her. We don't like her. Therefore, all her arguments are moot and irrelevant, and she should go away. The family emergency is Mr. Ross is tired of Mrs. Ross's shit, and they're about to get a divorce. That's the family emergency. He's using... He's saying he's been transferred as a ruse to get the fuck away from Mrs. Ross. God's sake. Well, excuse me, Mr. Ross said sarcastically. Okay, discussion closed. You're absolutely right, dear. We have no choice. Catherine it is. You'll drive Evan there and then fly down to Atlanta. Wow. He just... You are absolutely right. This discussion is closed. I had extremely relevant points. But because I don't want to argue with you, I'm going to tell you that you're right. It'll be a good experience for him, Evan heard his mother say. He needs to learn how to get along under difficult circumstances. You know, moving to Atlanta, leaving all his friends behind. This isn't going to be easy on Evan either. Okay, I said okay, Mr. Ross said impatiently. It's settled. Evan will be fine. Catherine is a bit weird, but she's perfectly harmless. Evan heard the kitchen's chairs scraping across the linoleum, indicating that his parents were getting up. The discussion ended. Because he wanted his wife to shut up. You know. Typical straight relationship in 2000 whatever. I'm done having this discussion. Our discussion is over because I'm tired of your shit. His fate was sealed. Silently, he made his way out the front door and around to the backyard to think about what he had just overheard. He leaned against the trunk of the big maple tree which hid him from the house. It was his favorite place to think. Why didn't his parents ever include him in their discussions? He wondered. If they were going to discuss leaving him with some old aunt he'd never seen before, shouldn't he at least have a say? He learned all the big family news by eavesdropping from the hallway. It just wasn't right. You are correct. Actually, yeah. It's Mr. and Mrs. Ross Geller. Is who? I hate Ross. Like, if your child at age 12, you should be having discussions with them. Be like, hey, so, your dad is being transferred, and we're gonna have to move to Atlanta. So, and also, why, yes, he is a nice guy. He's 100% nice guy. Why wouldn't they bring their son to Atlanta to look at houses with them? Why wouldn't they bring their son, a 12-year-old, not like we need someone to be able to watch over this teeny tiny baby infant the whole time because we're going to be super busy doing other shit. No, he is 12. You are not. He is 12 and he gets absolutely no input in anything whatsoever. That's stupid. That's stupid. Like, if you're going to move into a different fucking house, probably, yeah. Yeah, he's going to be 43 years old and she's going to be calling after he has a job interview.
Did my son get the job? I'll have you know that my son is the most intelligent. He was talking by the time he was 4 and he was potty trained by age 8. I stopped breastfeeding when he was 10 years old.
Like, seriously. We can't have any input from our child for whatever fucking reason in a place that he's going to be living for we don't know how long. Like, when we moved, every time we moved, my parents were like, all right, what do you guys feel? What do you think about this house? Like, after we moved out of Lafayette, there was always like what do you guys think of this one? What do you guys think of this one? And they would have their adult discussion, of course, but they would still ask us how we, yeah, breastfeeding on a 120-month-old. Yes, you are correct. God, Jesus Christ. Evan pulled a small twig off the ground and tapped it against the broad tree trunk. Aunt Catherine was weird. That's what his dad had said. She was so weird, his father didn't want to leave Evan with her. Interesting. But they had no choice. No choice. Maybe they'll change their minds and take me to Atlanta with them, Evan thought. Maybe they'll realize they can't do this to me. Sorry, kiddo. But now, 2 weeks later, he was standing in front of Aunt Catherine's gray house, feeling very nervous, staring at the brown suitcase filled with his belongings, which stood beside his mother on the stoop. There's nothing to be scared of, he assured himself. It's only for 2 weeks, maybe less. But then the words popped out before he'd even had a chance to think about them. Mom, what if Aunt Catherine is mean? Huh? The question caught his mother by surprise. Mean? Why would she be mean, Evan? And as she said this, facing Evan with her back to the house, the front door was pulled open, and Aunt Catherine, a large woman with starting black hair, filled the doorway. Staring past his mother, Evan saw the knife in Catherine's hand, and he saw that the blade of the knife was dripping with blood. Oh my God. Trigger raised his head and began to bark, hopping backward on his hind legs with each bark. Aw, Pepper does that. Startled, Evan's mother spun around, nearly stumbling off the small stoop. Evan gaped in silent horror at the knife. A smile formed on Catherine's face, and she pushed open the screen door with her free hand. She wasn't anything like Evan had pictured. He had pictured a small, frail-looking, white-haired old lady. But Catherine was a large woman, very robust, broad-shouldered, and tall. Hey. She wore a peach-colored house dress and had straight black hair pulled back and tied behind her head in a long ponytail that flowed down the back of her dress. She wore no makeup, and her pale face seemed to disappear under the striking black hair, except for her eyes, which were large and round and steely blue. Like a romance novel protagonist. Mommy, sorry. Mommy, sorry. Mommy, sorry. Is that Lady Dimitrescu? That's genuinely who I'm picturing here, for some reason. It's like just Lady Dimitrescu with like long hair for some reason. I don't know. I was slicing beef, she said in a surprisingly deep voice, waving the blood-stained kitchen knife. She stared at Evan. You like beef? Yeah, he managed to reply, his chest still fluttery from the shock of seeing her appear with a raised knife. Catherine held open the screen door, but neither Evan nor his mother made any move to go inside. He's big, said Mrs. Ross. Catherine said to Mrs. Ross. Big boy, not like his father. I used to call his father Chicken, because he was no bigger than a chicken. She laughed as if she had cracked a funny joke. Mrs. Ross, picking up Evan's suitcase, glanced uncomfortably back at him. Yeah, he's big, she said. Actually, Evan was one of the shortest kids in his class, and no matter how much he ate, he remained as skinny as a spaghetti noodle, as his dad liked to say. Yes, fear quink unlocked. Yeah. Yep. And now he's gonna play the Last of Us, the village, and he's gonna be like, why do I remember being 12 years old and wanting to have sex with big lady? You don't have to answer me, Catherine said, stepping aside so that Mrs. Ross could get inside the house with the suitcase. I can't hear you. Her voice is deep as a man's, and she spoke clearly without the indistinct pronunciation that some deaf people have. Because she spoke, she learned how, yes, absolutely. Goosebumps was the first thing to unlock something within us. Thank you. Good night. Also, she spoke clearly without the indistinct pronunciation that some deaf people have. She developed deafness 20 years ago. She would have already been, speaking and have learned how to talk using sound. So she would have learned how to pronounce things and learned how they actually sounded coming out of your mouth before she became deaf. So of course she wouldn't have the indistinct pronunciation. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Evan followed his mother into the front hallway, Trigger yapping at his heels. Can't you get that dog quiet? His mother snapped. Yeah. Like I said, sometimes I read things for the nostalgia. And then I'm like, oh, this is only nostalgia. This aged better than some things, but not 100% well. It doesn't matter, she can't hear it, Evan replied, gesturing toward his aunt, who was heading to the kitchen to put down the knife. Catherine returned a few seconds later, her blue eyes locked on Evan, her lips pursed as if she were studying him. So, you like beef? She repeated. He nodded. Good, she said, her expression still serious. I always fix beef for your father, but he only wanted pie. What kind of pie? Evan asked, and then blushed when he remembered Catherine couldn't hear him. So, he's a good boy? Not a troublemaker? Catherine asked Evan's mother. Mrs. Ross nodded, looking at Evan. Where shall we put his suitcase? She asked. I can tell by looking he's a good boy, Catherine said. She reached out and grabbed Evan's face, her big hand holding him under the chin, her eyes examining him closely. Good-looking boy, she said, giving his chin a hard squeeze. He likes the girls? That's weird. Don't. Why are you asking? That's weird. That's weird. Yeah. Actually, yeah. Systemically destroying it. That's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Because it's like, there are some things where you go back to it for the nostalgia, and you don't remember, some of the subject matter specifically, and some of the, questionable things that were said. And then you reread it, and you're like, oh, I have developed an opinion about this subject, and this subject is controversial now. And I didn't realize it at the time because it was prevalent. Yeah, no. We don't resell. We don't resell shit with no. No. We destroy it to make something else. Okay, totally off topic. There was a post recently on Tumblr, I think. There was a picture hanging in the administration office or the dean's office at an Ivy League school that had the founders of the university sitting around a table and having a meeting or fucking something, and there was a slave in the background of this fucking painting, still hanging in goddamn, it was, I can't remember whether it was Harvard or Yale, but they still had this shit hanging, where there was a young slave child in the background. Yeah. And so somebody, like, repainted it, put a frame around the child's face, and, like, scrunched up the rest of the painting and called it, "It's Not About You," or "Why Is It Always About You," or something like that. And I live! Fuck those old white boys. Fuck those old-ass white boys that are also dead and double dead. They're irrelevant. Thank you. Thank you very much. Love that shit. That is awesome. Yes. 100%. Okay. Back to the thing. Still holding his chin, she lowered her face to his. "You've got a girlfriend?" she asked, her pale face right above his, so close he could smell her breath, which was sour. Of course it was. Evan took a step back, an embarrassed grin crossing his face. "No, not really." "Yes?" Catherine cried, bellowing in his ear. "Yes, I knew it!" She laughed heartily, turning her gaze to Evan's mother. "The suitcase?" Mrs. Ross asked, picking up the bag. "He likes the girls, huh?" Catherine repeated, still chuckling. "I could tell, just like his father. His father always liked the girls." Can we move on from the... Catherine, can we move on? Okay, we do eventually move on. Fuck's sake. Yes, she's so creepy. Why? Like, even when the adults around me when I was growing up were like teasing, "Do you got a boyfriend yet?" That was it. It was that you got a crush on somebody or you got a boyfriend yet. The end. It didn't like continue as a narrative. It was just something to say to a middle schooler to tease them. I don't know why. I don't know why that was a thing. It's... yeah. I don't get where that came from, why that started happening, but I'm glad it doesn't happen as much. If Evan turned desperately to his mother. "Mom, I can't stay here," he said, whispering, even though he knew Catherine couldn't hear. "Please don't make me." "Hush," his mother replied, also whispering. "She'll leave you alone, I promise. She's trying to be friendly. Do not. If someone is making your child uncomfortable, don't fucking excuse it. Don't make excuses for it. Don't try to reason with it. If someone is making your child uncomfortable, be like, hey, you are making my child uncomfortable. I hate that. Fucking hate that. Yeah, it's bullshit. He likes the girls, Catherine repeated, leering at him with her cold blue eyes, again lowering her face close to Evan's. Is she worried that he might be gay? That's the only thing I can come up with for why she's, like, pursuing this topic. She's, like, when someone is trying to reassure themselves that, do you know what I mean? Like, someone is being like, thank God he likes girls. I have to do it with this hand. Like, you wouldn't persist with this line of, like, you wouldn't persist with this unless there was a deeper reason why you're trying to analyze it so fucking bad. Don't be a homophobe, you nasty. You nasty. You nasty. Mom, her breath smells like triggers. Yeah. Yeah. Evan exclaimed miserably. Evan! Mrs. Ross shouted angrily. Stop it! I expect you to cooperate. I expect bitches to respect my child. Fuck you. I'm gonna bake you a pie, Catherine said, tugging at her black ponytail with one of her huge hands. Would you like to roll out the dough? I'll bet you would. What did your father tell you about me, Evan? She winked at Mrs. Ross. Did he tell you I was a scary old witch? No, Evan protested, looking at his mother. Well, I am, Catherine declared, and once again burst into her deep-throated laugh. Ha 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 ha! or something. Trigger took this moment to begin barking ferociously and jumping on Evan's great aunt. Yeah. Yeah. It's sus. It's sus and it's gross. She glared down at the dog, her eyes narrowing, her expression becoming stern. "Look out or we'll put you in the pie, doggy," she exclaimed. Trigger barked even harder, because he's not having none of her shit. Good boy. Darting boldly toward the tall, hovering woman, then quickly retreating, his stubble tail whipping back and forth in a frenzy. "We'll put him in a pie, won't we, Evan?" Catherine repeated, putting a big hand on Evan's shoulder and squeezing it till Evan flinched in pain. "Why? Mom," he pleaded with his aunt, when his aunt finally let him go and, smiling, made her way to the kitchen. "Mom, please." "It's just her sense of humor, Evan," Mrs. Ross said uncertainly. "She means well, really. She's gonna bake you a pie." "Yeah, we're putting Catherine in the pie. That's right. That's what we do. Putting Catherine in the fucking pie. This weird lady person just hate it." "I don't want pie," Evan wailed. "I don't like it here, Mom. She hurt me. She squeezed my shoulder so hard." "Evan, I'm sure she didn't mean to. Go fuck yourself. She's just trying to joke with you. She wants you to like her. Give her a chance, okay?" "No." "No." No. That's like the equivalent of, he's a nice guy, you should give him a chance and go on a date with him. No. I'm not doing that. Hey, first of all, she's not very nice. But second of all, I am not going to just go on a date with somebody just because they're nice. That's not a prerequisite. That's not, you should just be nice. Being nice is not like a, oh, well, other people are, you should just be nice. Being nice is not a prerequisite for me going on a date with somebody. Now, if we have shit in common and I'm genuinely attracted to them, maybe. Yeah, being nice is just something that you're supposed to do. That's like, bar so low I tripped on it. But, the amount of times I've expressed something to my mom where I'm like, yeah, so-and-so actually asked me on a date and I don't know how I feel about it. And she knows that I'm not attracted to this person. She would get annoyed with me when I said, no, I'm not going to do that. But they're nice. So, that doesn't mean shit. You know who else is nice? My dog. My dog is nice. I'm not going to go on a date with my dog because he's nice. First of all, he's a dog, so you can't. That's gross. Don't be doing that. Second of all, that's not a character trait. You know? That's not a character trait. That's not a, it bothers me, especially when somebody gets irate when you say, no, I'm not going to do that. Yes. Forest sprites, also nice. You know who is also nice? The Fae. But I ain't telling them my name, and I am not saying thank you for something they've done. Because I know. Also, some people are nice because they know they can get something out of you. Some people aren't genuinely nice. They're nice for a purpose. So, jot that down. Evan started to protest, but thought better of it. I'm counting on you, his mother continued, turning her eyes to the kitchen. They could both see Catherine at the counter, her broad back to them, hacking away at something with the big kitchen knife. But she's weird, Evan protested. Listen, Evan, I understand how you're feeling. No, you don't, his mother said, but you won't have to spend all your time with her. There are a lot of kids in the neighborhood. Take Trigger for a walk. I'll bet you even make some friends your age. She's an old woman, Evan. She won't want you hanging around all the time. I guess, Evan muttered. His mother bent down gently and gave him a hug, pressing her cheek against his. The hug, he knew, was supposed to cheer him up, but it only made him feel worse. I'm counting on you, his mother repeated in his ear. Evan decided to try and be braver about this. I'll help you carry the suitcase up to my room, he said. They carried it up the narrow staircase. His room was actually a study. The walls were lined with bookshelves filled with old hardcover books. A large mahogany desk stood in the center of the room. A narrow cot had been made up under the single curtained window. The window faced out onto the backyard, a long rectangle with the gray shingled garage to the left, a tall picket fence to the right. A small fenced-in area stretched across the back of the yard. It looked like some sort of dog run. The room smelled musty. The sharp aroma of mothballs invaded Evan's nose. Trigger sneezed. He rolled onto his back, his legs racing in the air. Trigger can't stand this place either, Evan thought, but he kept his thought to himself, smiling bravely at his mother, who quickly unpacked his suitcase, nervously checking her watch. "I'm late. Don't want to miss my plane," she said. She gave him another hug, longer this time. Then she took out a $10 bill from her pocket and stuffed it into his shirt pocket. "Buy yourself a treat. Be good. I'll hurry back as fast as I can." "Okay. Bye," he said, his chest feeling fluttery, his throat as dry as cotton. The smell of her perfume momentarily drowned out the mothballs. He didn't want her to leave. He had such a bad feeling. "You're just scared," he scolded himself. "Bitch, I would be too." "I'll call you from Atlanta," she shouted as she disappeared down the stairs to say goodbye to Catherine. Her perfume disappeared, and the mothballs returned. Trigger uttered a low, sad howl as if he knew what was happening. As if he knew they were being abandoned here in this strange house with this strange old woman. Evan picked Trigger up and nose-kissed his cold black nose. Putting the dog back down on the worn carpet, he made his way to the window. He stood there for a long while, one hand holding the curtains aside, staring down at the small green yard, trying to calm the fluttering in his chest. After a few minutes, he heard his mother's car back down the gravel drive. Then he heard it roll away. When he could no longer hear it, he sighed and plopped down on the cot. "It's just you and me now, Trigger," he said glumly. Trigger was busy sniffing behind the door. Evan stared up at the walls of old books. "What am I going to do here all day? Read." It's full of books. Read. You don't have to like it. It's just to pass time. Just read. Yeah, read. I'm gonna check on that. Somebody knocked something over. I'll be right back. Okay. Yes? What'd you knock over? Huh. Come on. She didn't actually knock anything over. She just... She didn't actually knock anything over. She just, she jumped off of the bookshelf and... She likes to pretend she can fly, and then she just kind of... Hi. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. Is this a baby? Is this my baby man? Is this my big little baby man? Is this my big little baby man? That's a big little baby man. Look at the face. Look at the face. Look at that face. Mwah. Yes. Alright. Yeah, the cat thinks she can fly, and then it never works, so I don't know why she keeps doing it. Yes. Yes. Is he a needy baby? Is he a needy baby? Is he a needy baby? He's a needy baby. That's why he's a big little baby man. That's why he's a big little baby man. He is big and he is little. He's a baby. He's a man. Big little baby man. Yes. Oh, yes, yes, yes. All right. Are you going to read the next chapter, Zatara? Are you gonna read the next chapter? Should I read the next chapter in my cat's voice? My cat has a voice, just so you know. Should I read the next chapter in my cat's voice? Oh. No Nintendo, no computer. He hadn't even seen a TV in his great aunt's small living room. Oh, that's not good. True, more man than poor Evan. He's 8, actually. He's turning 8 this year.
So he's a grown adult. Oh, he's a senior citizen. No. No, he's my baby. He's my baby. He is the littlest, youngest senior citizen. Are you a senior citizen?
Are you a senior citizen? No, I will never reveal my real age. I'll never tell you my real age. Yeah. Sighing again, he picked himself up and walked along the bookshelves, his eyes scanning the titles. There were lots of science books and textbooks he saw. Books on biology and astronomy, ancient Egypt, chemistry texts, and medical books. Read any one of those! My God! I love science books, okay? Yeah, thank you. They all sound really cool. I want to read any and all of them. What are you doing with your life, Evan? God. Read a bunch of those in 2 weeks, go to school, and impress all of your friends with how knowledged you have become. Or be that one really obnoxious kid that knows everything. Either way. Like, study, for fuck's sake. Several shelves were filled with dusty, yellowed books. Maybe Catherine's husband, Evan's great-uncle, had been some sort of scientist.
Boop. Yush. 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 Us, my baby.
Nothing here for me to read, he thought glumly. Yes, there is, you dork! You're 12. You should be able to read those books. You're not going to understand the concepts entirely, but you can still read them. It's not like you're fucking pre-K level reading. You can read them, you dork ass. Fuck's sake. He pulled open the closet door. Ugh. Ugh. Oh! He cried out as something leaped out at him. Help! Please help! Everything went black. Help! I can't see! Evan screamed. Ah! What do you think? What do you think? I think it was cat. What do you think is in the closet? A raccoon, probably. It's probably a raccoon, he says. It's a raccoon or something. I could probably kill it. I'm very good at killing things. Oh. He just why you want my attention so badly right now, huh? Why you want my attention so badly? Why you want my attention so badly? He only wants my attention this badly when it's actual nighttime and he's trying to go sleepy bye. When he's trying to go bye to wee. Yush. Yush. Can I... Oh, Jesus, okay. Are you gonna read the next chapter, or are you good? Ah, pfft. Yes, Baba. Yes, Baba. blah, blah, blah. Alright. Okay. Alright. Yes, please send me pictures of that. I love destructive art. It's dope. Oh, hi! There is a raccoon tail in my face. Hi! Hi, Sweet Pea. How you doing? It's nappy time. It's sleepy time. Yeah, he is definitely part raccoon. Genetically speaking, he's part raccoon.
There he goes. Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye, little man. Bye, Phil. Goodbye.
Alright. He's gonna come back and be like, how dare you stop loving me?
How dare you stop loving me? There you go.
Yes, raging against society. That's what I should call this series. Reading books to rage against society. We do live in a society. Evan staggered back in fear as the warm blackness crept over him. Ew. It took him a few seconds to realize what it was. His heart still thudded in his chest. He reached up and pulled the screeching black cat off his face. The cat dropped silently to the ground, so it wasn't a raccoon, it was a cat. The cat dropped silently to the ground and patted to the doorway. Warm blackness! Evan turned and saw Catherine standing there, an amused grin on her face. How long had she been standing there? He asked. Or he wondered. Sarah Beth, how did you get in here? She asked in a playfully scolding tone, bending down to speak to the cat. You must have given the boy a fright. The cat mewed and rubbed against Catherine's bare leg. Did Sarah Beth scare you? Catherine asked, Evan still smiling. That cat has a strange sense of humor. She's evil. Pure evil. She chuckled as if she'd said something funny. She's already told us that she's a witch, and that she's gonna put his dog in a pie. And then she said some really weird, like, cishet nonsense-ness, and I'm okay, Evan said uncertainly. Watch out for Sarah Beth. She's evil, Catherine repeated, bending down and picking up the cat by the scruff of the neck, holding her up in the air in front of her. That's why she's so naughty, because you pick her up by the scruff of the neck. Yes, she is obsessed with the fact that Evan, a 12-year-old boy, likes girls. This woman is at least in her 50s, and she's being weird and creepy and gross. Weird, creepy, and gross. Alright. Seeing the cat suspended in the air, Trigger uttered an unhappy howl. Yeah, because he feels bad for the cat. He feels bad for the cat being held against their will. Fuck's sake. Yeah. Same. We know who you're talking about. We all know who you talk about. Certain Skeleman. Skeleton. His stubby tail went into motion and he leaped at the cat, barking and yipping, missed, and leaped again, snapping at Sarah Beth's tail. Down, Trigger! Get down! Evan cried. Struggling to get out of Catherine's arms, the cat swiped a clawed black paw at her. Good. Screeching in anger and fear. Trigger barked and howled as Evan struggled to pull the excited cocker spaniel away. Evan grabbed hold of Trigger as the cat swung to the floor and disappeared out the door. Bad dog, Evan whispered, but he didn't really mean it. He was glad Trigger had scared the cat away. He looked up to see Catherine still filling the doorway, staring down at him sternly. Bring the dog, she said in a low voice. Her eyes narrowed, her pale lips pursed tightly. Huh? Evan gripped Trigger in a tight hug. Yeah. Yup. Yeah. Bring the dog, Catherine repeated coldly. We can't have animals fighting in this house. But Aunt Catherine, Evan started to plead, then remembered she couldn't hear him. Sarah Beth is a bad one, Catherine said, not softening her expression. We can't get her riled, can we? She turned and started down the stairs. Bring the dog, Evan. Holding Trigger tightly by the shoulders with both hands, Evan hesitated. I have to take care of the dog, Catherine said sternly. Come. Oh, I don't like that. I know it's a red herring or whatever the phrase is. I don't like it though. I don't like it though. Evan was suddenly filled with dread. What did she mean, take care of the dog? A picture flashed into his mind of Catherine standing at the doorway with the bloody kitchen knife in her hand. Bring the dog, Catherine insisted. Nope. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna run. I'm taking my dog, and I'm running. Ew. No. Hate. Evan gasped. What was she gonna do to Trigger? I will take care of you, doggy, Catherine repeated, frowning at Trigger. The dog whimpered in reply. Come, Evan. Follow me, she said impatiently. Seeing that he had no choice, Evan obediently carried Trigger down the stairs and followed his aunt to the backyard. I'm prepared, she said, turning to make sure he was following. Despite her age, she was at least 80. Oh, she's 80. Oh, damn. Oh, damn. I knew you were bringing a dog, so I made sure I was prepared. Trigger licked Evan's hand as they walked across the yard to the long fenced-in area at the back. It's a special place for your dog, Catherine said, reaching up to grab one end of the rope that stretched across the run. Attach this to the collar, Evan. Your dog will have fun here. This dog is 12 years old. Don't be putting him outside. She frowned disapprovingly at Trigger, and there will be no problems with Sarah Beth. That's who they remind me of. Waldorf and Statler. Yes, actually. The DZ and Ziggy. It's Waldorf and Statler. Well, sort of. Or are you talking about DZ and Monk? Yeah, DZ and Monk. Yeah, okay. I whoosh. Okay. Evan felt very relieved that this was all Catherine wanted to do to Trigger, but he didn't want to leave Trigger tied up in this prison in the back of the yard. Trigger was a house dog. He wouldn't be happy by himself out here. But Evan knew he had no way of arguing with his aunt. Catherine is smart in a way, he thought bitterly as he hooked Trigger's collar to the rope. Since she won't learn sign language and won't lip read, it means she gets to do whatever she wants and no one can tell her no. Aha! Aha! Ha! Aha! Indeed. He bent down and gave Trigger's warm head a pat and looked up at the old woman. She had her arms crossed in front of her chest, her blue eyes glowing brightly in the sunlight, a cold smile of triumph on her face because she was a bitch. That's a good boy, she said, waiting for Evan to get up before starting back to the house. Yes? He doesn't like her either. He thinks she's a bitch. Writes no in Sharpie on her face. Yeah. Although you'd have to write it on so she can read it in the mirror and reevaluate her life choices. Hello? Are you upset that the doggy is being mistreated? You're upset that the doggy is being mistreated? He's like, I heard doggy and I decided to make an appearance. I heard the word doggy and I decided to make an appearance. Hello, it's me, Pepper. He's like, I will show up, but I will not perform. Thank you. He is very adorable, and he knows it. Knows it. I also. That's a good boy, she said, waiting for Evan to get up before starting back to the house. I knew when I looked at you. Come to the house, Evan. I have cookies and milk. You'll enjoy them. Creepy! Her words were kind, but her voice was hard and cold.
We don't like her. We don't like her.
Also, I don't remember anything about this book. Yes, cookies and milk. They're like, what'd you put in the fucking cookies? What'd you put in the fucking cookies? Where did you get the milk? I don't want to know, and I'm not touching it. This is why you bring your own food. This is why you bring your own food. Thank you, and good night. Trigger sent an unhappy howl as Evan followed Catherine to the house. Oh. Evan turned, intending to go back and comfort the dog, but Catherine gripped his hand in an iron grip and, staring straight ahead, led him to the kitchen door, because she's a bitch! Bitch! He is unconcerned. The kitchen was small and cluttered and very warm. Catherine motioned for him to sit at a small table against the wall. The table was covered with a plastic checkered tablecloth. She frowned, her eyes studying him, as she brought over his snack. He downed the oatmeal raisin cookies and milk and listening to Trigger howl in the backyard. Oatmeal raisin wasn't his favorite, but he was surprised to find that he was hungry. As he gobbled them down, Catherine stood at the doorway, staring intently at him, a stern expression on her face. Children. Watch. He's napping. He's napping. I thought you were just gonna sniff him. What the fuck, dude? Normally, he'll see that the dog is napping and just give him a... Young man. Normally, he will see that the dog is napping and just give him a little sniff and curl up next to him so they can nap together. What the fuck was that? It's not playtime. Do you want to go play with the cat? There is another cat. Cat. Did I say your favorite word? Cat? Don't get my hopes up. Do not get my hopes up. Alright. Okay. I'm gonna take Trigger for a walk, he announced, wiping the milk mustache off his upper lip with the paper napkin she had given him. Catherine shrugged and wrinkled up her face. Like a bitch. Oh, right. She can't hear me, Evan thought. Standing at the kitchen window, he pointed to Trigger, then made a walking motion with 2 fingers. Catherine nodded. Whew, he thought. This is going to be hard. He waved goodbye and hurried to free Trigger from his backyard prison. A few minutes later, Trigger was tugging at the leash, sniffing the flowers along the curb as Evan made his way up the block. The other houses on the street were about the same size as Catherine's, he saw, and they all had small, neatly trimmed square front yards. He saw some little kids chasing each other around a birch tree, and he saw a middle-aged man in bright orange bathing trunks washing his car with a garden hose in his driveway. Bright orange bathing trunks. Are you in Florida? Are you in Florida right now? Washing your car with bathing trunks. Are you in Florida? I think you're in Florida. Trigger barked at a squirrel and tugged at the leash out of Evan's hand. Hey, come back! Evan called. Trigger, disobedient as always, took off after the squirrel. Yeah, it is. It's giving Florida man. It's giving Florida man. The squirrel wisely climbed a tree, but Trigger, his eyesight not what it once was, continued the chase. Running at full speed, calling the dog's name, Evan followed him around a corner and halfway down the block before Trigger finally realized he had lost the race. He's napping. Go play with your kitten. Go play with your kitten. Come on. Go play with your kitten. Go on. Go play with your kitten. Here you go. Good buddy.
Bundy. Mwah. I love you. Mwah. I love you.
Ugh. Okay. All right. All right. All right. Breathing hard, Evan grabbed the leash handle. Gotcha, he said. He gave the leash a tug, trying to lead the panting dog back to Catherine Street. Trigger, sniffing around a dark tree trunk, pulled the other way. Evan was about to pick up the stubborn dog when he was startled by a hand grabbing his shoulder. Why are you putting your hands on people? This book is people putting hands on people without their permission. Like, consent is key. Also, if you touch my kid, I'm slapping you. I'm going to slap you. Don't touch my fucking kid. Uncomfortable contact. His mom's not here, but she also was like,
they're just being friendly. Bleh. Bleh. Bleh.
You're being friendly. Shut up. Hey, who are you? A voice demanded while touching me without my fucking permission. I demand that you stop fucking touching me! Okay. Alright, we have context, but still. Evan spun around to find a girl standing behind him, staring at him with dark brown eyes. Why'd you grab my shoulder like that? He asked, his heart still pounding.
To scare you,
she said simply. Yeah, well. Evan shrugged. Trigger gave him a hard tug at the leash and nearly pulled him over. The girl laughed.
She's pretty,
he thought. She had short, wavy brown hair, almost black, and flashing brown eyes, and a playful, teasing smile. She was wearing an oversized yellow t-shirt over black spandex leggings and bright yellow Nikes. Oh my god, fashion icon. Fashion icon. Yeah, I mean, same. Except I want to hiss. Because for some reason, like, I regress back into age 10, where whenever somebody did something that you didn't like, you hissed like a cat. I don't know if any of you did that, but I definitely did that. I don't know what that was. Yes. Actually, yes. I would like to see. We await your response, Ellis. We await your response. We await your bark. Also, my sister and I used to bark at each other. And, like, we got really good at the awoo. But, yeah. We got really good at the aroo noise, and I don't know what that was. Kids are fucking weird. Kids are fucking weird.
So, who are you?
She demanded again. She's not the shy type, he decided. I'm me, he said, letting Trigger lead him around the tree.
Did you move into the Winterhalter house?
She asked, following him. He shook his head. No, I'm just visiting. She frowned in disappointment. Yes, haha, spot on. Absolutely. That TikTok was...
Chef's kiss.
For a couple of weeks, Evan added. I'm staying with my aunt. Actually, she's my great aunt.
What's so great about her?
The girl cracked. Nothing, Evan replied without laughing. For sure. Trigger sniffed at a bug on a fat brown leaf. Is that your bike? Evan asked, pointing to the red BMX bike lying on the grass behind her.
Yeah,
she replied. It's cool, he said. I have one like it.
I like your dog,
she said, eyeing Trigger. He looks real stupid.
I like stupid dogs.
Me too, I guess, Evan laughed.
What's his name? Does he have a stupid name?
Is she negging him right now? Is this girl fucking negging him? Don't be doing that. Yeah, no. You call my dog stupid, I'm leaving the conversation. I'm also calling you stupid, but I'm leaving the conversation entirely. Don't fucking call my dog stupid. I can call my dog stupid. I can say, wow, you're being stupid. I'm allowed to do that. You're fucking not. Stay in your lane. She bent down and tried to pet Trigger's back, but he moved away. Yeah! Because Trigger knows he's being called stupid. Yeah. No, His name's Trigger, Evan said, and waited for her reaction. Yeah, that's pretty stupid. I'm glad I gave her this voice. This bitchy Valley Girl voice. She said thoughtfully. Especially for a Cocker Spaniel. Thanks, Evan said. Don't say thank you! This girl is fucking weird, dude. Trigger turned to sniff the girl's hands, his tail wagging furiously, his tongue hanging down to the ground. I have a stupid name, too, the girl admitted. She waited for Evan to ask. Of course she did. What is it? He said finally. Andrea. She said, that's not a stupid name. I hate it. She said, pulling the grass. What don't you hate? Honestly, are you going to be one of those? Are you going to be one of those? She pulled a great blade of grass off her leggings. Andrea. She stretched the name out in a deep, cultured voice. It sounds so stuck up, like I should be wearing a corduroy jumper with a prim white blouse walking a toy poodle. So make everyone call me Andy. Hi, Andy, Evan said, petting Trigger. My name is...
Don't tell me!
She interrupted, clamping a hot hand over his mouth. She certainly isn't shy, he thought again.
Let me guess,
she said.
Is it a stupid name, too?
Yeah, he nodded. It's Evan. Evan Stupid. She laughed.
That's a really stupid name.
What? What is with this child? Who raised you? Who fucking raised you? He felt glad that he made her laugh. Don't. Oh. You're too young to be a simp. She was cheering him up, he realized. A lot of the girls back home didn't appreciate his sense of humor. They thought he was silly. Yeah, she's going through her stupid phase. You either went through a stupid phase or a crud phase. Anybody remember the word crud? I never said it. We weren't allowed to say crap either. I used other words, so. Crud. Ugh.
What are you doing?
She asked. Walking Trigger, exploring the neighborhood.
It's pretty boring, she said. Just a lot of houses. Want to go into town? It's only a few blocks away.
She pointed down the street. Evan hesitated. He hadn't told his aunt he was going into town. But what the heck, he thought. She didn't care. Besides, what could possibly happen? That's the end of the chapter. It ends on, what could possibly happen? Yeah. I don't know what it is. I don't like the word crud. I don't like the way it sounds. It's not as satisfying as crap with the hard consonant. I don't know. I don't know. Yes, it's bad mouth taste. It's like the word shush. I also hate the word shush. It's like it's on my YouTube channel. My friend and I went through a tier list of mouth sounds, of like mouth sounds that we are okay with, mouth sounds that we hate. It was a whole entire thing. It's on my YouTube if you want to look at it, because we went, and we're probably going to have to do a part 2 because there's more mouth sounds. But I hate shush and I hate zhuzh for the same freaking reason. Yeah. All right. Okay. Back to what we were doing. Okay, Evan said. Let's check out the town. I have to go to a toy store and look for a present for my cousin, Andy said, hoisting her bike up by the handlebars. How old are you? Evan asked, tugging Trigger toward the street.
12.
Me too, he said. Can I ride your bike? She shook her head as she climbed onto the narrow street.
No, but I'll let you run alongside.
She laughed. You're a riot, he said sarcastically, hurrying to keep up as she began to pedal.
And you're stupid.
She called back playfully. Hey, Andrea! Wait up, he called, stretching the name out to annoy her. Yep, they're 12. A few blocks later, the houses ended and they entered town, a 3-block stretch of low 2-story shops and offices. Evan saw a small brick post office, a barber shop with an old-fashioned barber pole out front, a grocery store, a drive-through bank, and a hardware store with a large sign in the window proclaiming a sale on birdseed. Yeah. Yes, she is really making him run alongside her. Like I said, he is too young to be a simp. It's too young. Wait till you're 16. And then don't do that. Because she just called you stupid. Don't be entertained in none of that nonsense. That behavior, we don't accept it. We don't encourage it. We don't endorse it. Stop fucking acting foolish. Alright. The toy store is on the next block, Andy said, walking her bike along the sidewalk. Evan tugged Trigger's leash, encouraging to keep up the pace.
Actually, there are 2 toy stores, an old one and a new one. I like the old one best.
Let's check it out, Evan said, examining the cluttered window display of the video store on the corner. I wonder if Aunt Catherine has a VCR, he thought. He quickly dismissed the idea. No way. Yeah, VCR. Yeah, He's learning things. He's learning some things about himself. He's learning some traits. He's learning some traits about himself. Is what. And also, I love reading books like this when they say, like, Nintendo and VCR. Like, that shit was topical. Yeah, good night, Ellis. I'm probably going to wrap up, too, after this chapter because I am still recovering from a cold and my throat is going to start hurting here, but there's only a couple pages left in the chapter. Yeah, I'm going to finish this chapter and then I'm going to head out myself because I have to go consume tea. I have to consume tea and probably some ibuprofen or something. We'll see.
Bye!
The toy store was an old clapboard building, I almost said cardboard, that hadn't been painted in many years. A small hand-painted sign in the dust-smeared window proclaimed, Wagner's Novelties and Sundries. Sundries. Love that word. There were no toys on display. Andy leaned her bike against the front of the building.
Sometimes the owner can be a little mean. I don't know if he'll let you bring your dog in.
Well, let's give it a try, Evan said, pulling open the door. Tugging hard on his leash, Trigger led the way into the store. Evan found himself in a dark, low-ceilinged, narrow room. It took a while for his eyes to adjust to the dim light. Wagner's looked more like a warehouse than a store. There were floor-to-ceiling shelves against both walls, jammed with boxes of toys, and a long display counter that ran through the center of the store, leaving narrow aisles that even someone as skinny as Evan had to squeeze through. At the front of the store, slumped on a tall stool, behind an old-fashioned wooden cash register. Wooden? Wooden? I thought they were metal. The antique ones, I thought they were metal. Mr. Stein, you need to be doing your research. Sat a grumpy-looking man with a single tuft of white hair in the center of a red, bald head. He had a drooping white mustache that seemed to frown at Evan and Andy as they entered. Hi, Andy said timidly, giving the man a wave. He grunted in reply and turned back to the newspaper he was reading. Trigger sniffed the low shelves excitedly. Evan looked around at the stacks of toys. It appeared from the thick layer of dust that they'd been sitting there for 100 years. Everything seemed tossed together. Dolls next to building sets, art supplies mixed in with old action figures Evan didn't even recognize, a toy drum set underneath a pile of footballs. He and Andy were the only customers in the store. Do they have Nintendo games? Evan asked her, whispering, afraid to break the silence.
I don't think so,
Andy whispered back.
I'll ask.
She shouted up the front.
Do you have Nintendo games?
It took a while for the man to answer. He scratched his ear. Don't carry them. Yep. Andy and Evan wandered toward the back of the store. Why do you like this place? Evan whispered, picking up an old cap pistol with a cowboy holster.
I just think it's neat, Andy replied. You can find some real treasures here. It's not like other toy stores. And I'm not like other girls. I call you stupid.
That's for sure, Evan said sarcastically. Hey, look! He picked up a lunchbox with a cowboy dressed in black emblazoned on the side. Hopalong Cassidy, he read. Who's Hopalong Cassidy?
She's so not like other girls. I'm not like other girls. I'm worse.
A cowboy with a stupid name, Andy said, taking the old lunchbox from him and examining it.
Look, it's made of metal, not plastic. Wonder if my cousin would like it. He likes stupid names, too.
You're stupid. You're stupid. It's a pretty weird present, Evan said.
He's a pretty weird cousin.
I'm the weird cousin. Tag yourself. I'm the weird cousin.
Hey, look at this.
She set down the old lunchbox and picked up an enormous box.
It's a magic set. Astound your friends. Perform 100 amazing tricks, she read.
That's a lot of amazing tricks, Evan said. He wandered farther back into the dimly lit store, Trigger leading the way, sniffing furiously. He was probably, getting a bonus for every time he used the word stupid. Or he was, on a kick. Or something. The word stupid was his hyperfixation for this particular book. Well, we should go through the other books and see if we can find other heavily repeated words. See what his hyperfocus word was for that particular book. This one is stupid. Hey! To Evan's surprise, a narrow doorway led into a small back room. This room, Evan saw, was even darker and dustier.
Oh.
Stepping inside, he saw worn-looking stuffed animals tossed into cartons, games in faded yellow boxes, baseball gloves with the leather worn thin and cracked. Who would want this junk? A hoarder. A hoarder. Yeah. He was about to leave when something caught his eye. It was a blue can about the size of a can of soup.
Soup? At the soup store?
Bringing it close to his face, to examine it in the dim light, he read the faded label, Monster Blood. Below that, in smaller type, it read, Surprising Miracle Substance. Hey, this looks cool, he thought, turning the can around in his hand. He suddenly remembered the $10 his mother had stuffed into his shirt pocket. Buy candy like a normal child! He turned to see the store owner standing in the doorway, his dark eyes wide with anger. What are you doing back here? He bellowed. And that's the end of that chapter, and somebody got chocolate on this book. Don't. Probably a child, because children read this. Yeah, children read these books. Definitely a child. If you could. It belongs to the library. Use clean hands. For God's sake. Use clean hands. I use clean hands with my personal books. But like this... Respect books. Okay? Respect. And Jim, what have you seen? Q-tips as bookmarks? I'm worried for your mental health. I want to ask if it was used. But I don't want to know. I don't want to know, but I want to ask, but I don't want to know. But I want to ask, but I don't want to know. No. I, myself, am using a kitty cat as a bookmark. Hold on. Focus! Focus. Focus, focus. It's not focusing. It's whatever. It's a cat. It's a cat bookmark. And I'm stopping there for now because I have to... Yes. Yeah. Don't... If you read while you poop, don't bring a library book into the bath. Bring one of your own. Or like, that's why people have bathroom reading. Like, they have like a little shelf with magazines and shit. They do that. Also, if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna have books in the bathroom, close the lid when you flush. Because that's nasty. Because, like, just, it's like, yeah, just don't. Okay. I'm gonna take some ibuprofen and I'm gonna take some ibuprofen and drink some... Words are hard and my nose is stuffy.
Okay.
Love you too. Love yous, and I will see you another time in another place, except it's this place, so it's the same place. In another book. There we go. Haha. Bye.